Wolves are bottom, and I don't see them moving anywhere anytime just yet either.
Who and what have you picked out for us to talk about this week, Matt?
Now, we love talking about the Premier League relegation battle, even this early on into the season. And I think it's time we spoke about Wolves, who are now propping up the table, bottom of the league after losing 3-1 to Aston Villa. And I think it is a real cause for concern here. It's early days. We've only played 5 games, and on paper, I do think Wolves have had 5 difficult fixtures, but it's the manner of some of these defeats that are giving me some cause for concern here. And you look at the next few fixtures as well, which we will come on to. I think there's a real case that Wolves are bottom, and I don't see them moving anywhere anytime just yet either. So my first concern is looking at the business over the last couple of seasons. They've lost Neto, Kilman, Podence, Traore, Neves, Cody, Jimenez, Moutinho. There is a lot of those players that were kind of core to this.
Is that all just to settle P&S, Matt, and FFP?
Yes, do you know what? That's a very good point. It could be, and that could also be why they've maybe not brought in such strong reinforcements as well. That's a very good point, because I think everyone's a bit scared of being hit with the FFP after what we've seen with Nottingham Forest and Everton. But maybe as a result of that now, Wolves are sliding into trouble on the pitch and in the table. So, yeah, down to bottom. Against Villa, it was a 3-1 defeat. And mirroring the game against Newcastle the week before, they've taken the lead. And especially in a local derby, I know they're away and Villa have been great, but you thought there would be some more fire in their belly to get something over the line, and to lose 3-1 as well. Real cause for concern here, because I think they look fragile. They're conceding lots of goals, the joint most goals conceded, along with Everton. And then, as I say, with the fixtures coming up now, Liverpool at home, Brentford away, Man City at home, Brighton away. So they're bottom, and, unless they pull out a really strong result out of nowhere, they're going to stay bottom for a few more weeks, in my opinion. We'll talk about the relegation battle in broader terms later when we speak about some of the draws that went on. Maybe right now the Wolves fans might be relieved that everyone else is tripping over their own feet. But yeah, for Wolves to be involved, considering where they have been over the last few years, it's a real cause for concern. And there is pressure on O'Neill now, because despite what I said about them losing all of these key players, you still look at the quality they have got with Cunha, Lamina, the experience of Dawson at the back. They shouldn't be losing the way they are. And yeah, I think there is pressure on O'Neill, and he does need to do something pretty soon.
What do you make of him then? Because I always remember the Bournemouth season where Scott Parker started the season, and I think they lose like 9 at Liverpool or something ridiculous. And then he kind of talked himself into getting the sack with a bit of a silly interview. And then I think everybody was like, right, okay, well, that's Bournemouth relegated now, isn't it? They've had a terrible start. They're about to change manager, and in comes Gary O'Neill and does brilliantly. And then they pivot as well. Everyone thinks he was a bit unlucky, in terms of he deserved to keep that job. But he then does get another job at a great club like Wolves. But Matt, full well that the change that they're going to make is going to be in the dugout if they're still bottom. You make a very, very fair point that, it wouldn't really be fair after 5 games they're bottom, and you've just pointed out they now play Liverpool and Man City in the next 3 games and then Brighton. So you've almost got to then say, well, if you're not going to do anything now, you can't do anything then, but then that will be 8-9 games potentially, won't it? But you wonder if, owners, they think, well, what can we really do here? We, struggling with FFP, can't change the playing squad, can change the manager mid-season, and they always go for it, don't they, before the window. So I think that would be a bad thing to do, but I can see them doing it. Where are you sort of sitting on the manager here?
Well, that's it. I mean, the Premier League is the most unforgiving league. It could be a couple of games and you're gone. But I do like O'Neill. I think most neutrals do. I mean, I would describe him as a firefighter. Considering what he did at Bournemouth, like you say, they looked, I suppose, in a perilous position after that 9-0 defeat to Liverpool, and then he came in, really steadied them, and got them comfortably safe in the end. And then what I was actually going to mention is the reason they didn't stick with him. You know, possibly they just thought he's a one-season solution, and maybe to kick on, they needed someone else. And maybe, you know, Wolves are maybe seeing the consequence of that now, because the job he did at Wolves last year as well, enormous credit, because I tipped them to go down at the start of last year because, was it Lopetegui left like a week before the season started, and it was looking really chaotic, wasn't it? And he came in, and then, yeah, incredible. They were nowhere really near the relegation battle. But has he got the tools to fight off relegation this season and stay away from it? Possibly not. Like we
Can
say.
I add one more point, Matt? After that run, I've got the fixtures up now. From the start of November, Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester. So 8 games without, you know, one where you'd say, oh, well, definitely gonna lose that to one of the big boys. So I suppose if you are the owners, you're almost looking at that as the period to judge him, rather than what we got: Liverpool, Brentford, Man City, Brighton. So, I mean, he'll be furious if he does get taken out before that run. But then again, can I flip that as well, Matt? Sometimes owners do that, don't they? They make a change before an easy run to give the manager a start. And the outgoing manager says, well, hang on a minute, I could have done with having those games.
Yeah, I think we saw something similar with Palace a couple of years ago when they got rid of Vieira after a difficult run, and then Hodgson had like a nice, favourable run. And yeah, I mean, like we said, if people believe in a new manager bounce, you want to bounce into those 6 pointers, I guess. Look, there'll be Wolves fans that do highlight how difficult the games have been, but I also think it is worth highlighting that this bad form can be attached to the end of last season, where it was 1 win in the final 11. And they're conceding lots of goals, you know, late goals quite a lot of the time, even going back to last season. You know, there's certain games last season you could pick at, like in the cup games, lost to Ipswich Town from the Championship 3-2, lost to Coventry from the Championship 3-2, conceded like a 98th minute goal against Manchester United last season. Defensively, I think they need to be more solid. I agree. I look at these games, Liverpool, Brentford, Man City. It's difficult to judge on those games, but do you want to be going into a game against Everton and Ipswich on this horrendous run when Ipswich might still have that positivity still? They've come up, that novelty of being in the Premier League. They might be feeling a bit more up for it. Everton, although they're always down there, they are the masters of getting out of this situation. So I'd be a bit nervous if I'm a Wolves fan. I certainly think they can still stay up, but right now they are bottom.
Great stuff, Matt. Get involved in the comments. We'll clip that one out for Matt's channel. So if you are a Wolves fan, get involved in the comments. And particularly, I want to know, because it's quite binary here. Are you on the, it's going to turn, fixtures have been difficult, points are going to come through November, December? Or are you on the side of, nah, this is worrying, and when we get to November, as Matt points out, not going to be in the position to take advantage of the good fixtures because the confidence will all be gone. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. As an Ipswich fan, I want as many teams in the relegation mix as possible. As a Wolves fan, they're going to want to get as far away from it as possible. So Wolves are this week's Matt's moment.